Hello, it's your favourite birdie once again, bringing you a little dose of, death. Before you watch this video, if you haven't done so already, make sure that you have watched the live stream video of, episode 2 being Demise, before you start going into this particular video. Now, the last episode that we did for chapter 1, Seal, only had 2 wrong endings. So it was a relative, and both the options that determined those endings were all right at the end of the chapter. So that one's not so bad, all things considered. This one is a bit more complicated. So this one actually has 6 wrong endings in Demise, and the places that you can trigger them are all over the chapter. So in order to get all of them as expediently as possible, some saves will be required, and I have actually had to slightly consult a guide with this one as well, just to make sure I'm doing the right options at the right time. So just like episode 1, we will not be doing we will not be interested in the storyline. Well, the only thing, or at least not for the good ending anyway, we'll only be interested in the options that we get because we took the wrong options, if that makes sense. So let's jump straight in the deep end and the wrong end, and all the wrong ends, for Demise. So, just like the last recorded episode, I am going to be skipping bits of dialogue here. In fact, I'm going to be skipping the majority of it. So, this is the flashback of what happened to Mayu the first time, being slammed up against the wall. But that was a reality that doesn't happen this time. So, first things first, we need to check that door and not go in it. It's a non-option, but you do need to do that to trigger it. Because the game will not let you leave that area until then. Alright, so from here, we've got a bit of a journey ahead of us. So, first things first, we want to go to classroom 3A. All of the endings start with us taking this path. It's only when we make our first save is when things start to diverge. So, first things first. Examine the body. And you get the young girl here. The girl in her mid-teens, wearing the school uniform. But something wasn't right. Exactly. She's very much dead. Yep. And stabbed with pencils as well, for good measure. Yeah, that's not gonna work. Yes, it's what happens to all of you. And if you examine her a second time... Oh. Well, the first time you do examine her, you can get her name tag, so that's fine. And then, of course, as soon as we scroll left, and then right, the ghost appears, which we want to have a chat to. So, you want to help this person. This is actually optional, but you need to at least make the interaction. So, try to help. So, if you decide to help, make your way back down to the hall outside the nurse station. And pick up the blanket here. And then return to 3A. You give her the sheet. And your reward for doing that, in addition to a name tag, is the paper charm. Now, you can choose to take it or leave it. It's entirely up to you. And I actually found out, as part of my research, it's actually an optional item. Because I picked this up at the start of my stream, and I never used it. And afterwards it bugged me. It was like, what was the point of that? I figured out what the point of it was. So I'm going to show you as well. I'm going to take the paper charm. But you do not have to. Alright. But now that we're back here, also want to take the loose floorboard. And now we want to head south of the nurse station. They went ham on the music in this game, they really did. So there's a large hole in the floor. This we know. But I have a floorboard that we can set here. Alright. Should be sturdy enough to cross. Yep. So I'm just going to make my way to the first floor, second floor staircase. And this is going to be my first save. I can get rid of this one, I don't need it anymore. These two are part of my actual live streams, I don't want to touch them. But this one I don't need. Yeah, I'm recording these videos more or less one after the other, so yeah. So we're taking a save here because this is where we get the first bad ending. But there is more preparation work to do. We'll get to it though. So the first bad ending. If I just scroll ahead to that, as I say, I've had to make a lot of notes here. So, next, we're going to go to the exit. And we're into this room. Now, we want to examine the corpse here. So, the skeletal remains with the middle school girl with the box cutter lying nearby. That's fine, we don't need to talk to her. We also need to look at the note. Okay, and now we try to leave the room. But before we leave, Rio appears. So, just as I was about to leave the entranceway, the spirit of a little boy suddenly materialized in front of the door. I remembered his face. Yep, if he catches me, I'm done for. I immediately ducked into the shadow of the shoe cubbies, doing my best to stay out of sight. Good idea! I have absolutely no idea why everything just glitched out. But it did. So, yeah. Give me a second. I've just got to wait for it to go blue. So, I don't know why it glitched out, but it has glitched out. It just seems to be a thing. But, if you try to examine Rio... I don't care about the skeleton. Wait, are we side on as well? Oh, I think we're side on too, jeez. Alright, hang on. Where the hell are you? Well, this wasn't meant to happen. Oh, and now suddenly it's fixed. Alright, so if we examine Ryo, I'm not sure how you say the name. He catches you. Examining him is a bad idea. if you've got the paper charm, the charm is used here and it saves you. But we're interested in the wrong ending. So if you didn't pick up the paper charm, or if you examine him a second time, or if you did examine him a second time, you're screwed. I was caught in his cold, dead hands. You were indeed. He had me by the wrist and absolutely was not letting go. The living is so warm. I want to feel more. More, I tells ya. Yep, so he grabbed my hair and his other hand began violently pulling on it with all his might. And in that instant, I found myself unable to breathe and unable to speak. The hand that was previously on my wrist was now strangling the life out of me, gripping my neck with an almost inhuman amount of strength. He's not just a child, not in this place. For a brief moment, I could feel a cold sensation on my arm. And then, just like that, my entire torso was forced backwards into a decidedly unnatural bend. I heard a sound like the cracking of a huge lobster tail. Yeah, that would be your spine, my dear. Sudden jolts of intense pain shot through every last inch of my body like electricity, and sweat began overflowing from every pore. You know, it's kind of sad, because Mayu's slated to die whatever you do. Even in the good end. But the wrong ends in this one definitely seem worse. Let's just say that. My body, equally uncertain on how to react to levels of pain this severe, responded with intense nausea. Somebody, please. Yes, you are. How many people were in the room with me? I was feeling the touch of countless hands, and some clearly did not belong to children. Who were these people? And how many of them were holding me down? Yet another hand grabbed my ankle. And with an even greater force than before, my legs were pulled in opposite directions. Then, with a startlingly loud crunch, they snapped right off my hips. How hard do you have to yank a leg for it to come out of the hip? You'd think the bone would shatter before that point anyway. My limbs were either gone now or barely still attached. I was like a discarded wishbone, or a toy they had no qualms about breaking. And that's the first bad end of this chapter. Quite a grisly one when you think about it, but it's kind of hard to say any of them are pleasant. So, that's the only ending that we can get from that save. So, at this point, I'm going to reload that same save. Because I did it before that end, obviously. So we're going to reload this back at the staircase. And we're actually going to repeat a couple of steps here. So we're back on the good ending path at this point, because that's the only bad ending we can get up to that point. So we want to again go to the to the exit. And again, we want to check the body. And the note. And again, we want to try to leave. I'm not interested. I just want to leave. Now, want to be careful here. Oops. So I'm gonna, so I want to get out of here, but I don't want to go too far north yet. Instead, I want to go to the first and second floor staircase on this side. And here, if I hit the right button, here I'm going to take another save. Excuse me. So I'm just going to overwrite that one now. This save will be used for 2 bad endings, but it's actually the last 2, so I will come back to that one. So, we're going to continue on the good path for the moment. So, on the second floor, I want to go to classroom 1C. So, just to remind you, this is still technically the good path right now. And we want to pick up this object. It's the notebook. Now, this item, picking it up actually prevents getting the 5th and 6th bad endings. I know, this one item prevents 2 bad endings. But that's why we took the save before coming into 1C. Next, I want to go into 1A. And we want to pick up the key from the pedestal here. Alright. Now, we want to head up to the 3rd floor. we actually did this accidentally during the stream. But if I go all the way to the end of the hall... I was just looking for name tags at this point, but we can read the note. We need to read the note and examine the body. At this point, we get his name tag, but we also get warped back to the exit. So, back at the exit, we want to examine the body in detail. And also, take the notebook back. And now that we've done that, now we've done all of that, now we want to get out of here and get back into the hall. At which point we get found by not Yoshikazu. Who is it? Not Satoshi. It doesn't matter. Anyway, we get that cutscene. Yoshiki. There we go. I always forget that name for some reason. Now, we want at this point to go back up to the second floor. And we just want to make our way north, as if we're going to the third floor. We will stop before we get there. And we have to deal with these cutscenes, so we'll just skip past them. Alright. So now we're playing as Yoshiki and we're with Ayumi. In the locker room, we've got the note here that says, check the third from the right. Which, of course, is referring to the third faucet from the right here. And we get the the thin wire. Okay? And from here, we want to go all the way north to just outside room 4A. It'll just take a second to get there. And of course the door to room 4A is locked. But we've got a handy dandy lockpick, or at least something we can use as one. And now that I have unlocked the door, this is where I'm going to make the next save. I still need this one, so I'm actually going to make a separate save. And then I'm going to go in here. So, who's in here? Yep, Ryu's here as well. Now, this is a different bad ending because we're actually playing as Yoshiki, not Mayu. So, have a chat with him. We don't have a paper charm this time. Now, Yoshiki's death is actually quite a gruesome one. So when I came to, I found myself restrained. I couldn't move a muscle. I was lying face up on some kind of table with both my arms and both my legs firmly bound by rope, I guess. It was digging into my skin, whatever it was.
いつの間にか気絶でもしちまってたのか。あんだけ篠崎に釘刺されたのに。
Yeah, this is kind of one of those wrong ends that you kind of have to be going for to get. My head was the only part of my body that didn't have its movements prohibitively restricted, so I was able to look around the room to some extent. The walls and ceiling seemed to be made of dirt or mud. I didn't get the impression that I was in the school anymore. Actually, there's no way for you to know this at this point, but it's not really a spoiler. We're actually under the school. We're in the bomb shelter area. It looked and felt kind of like I was in some basement room, or more specifically, a mine or a bomb shelter or something. Okay, yeah, so you pretty much nailed it. It is a bomb shelter. Thick, gloppy blood stains saturated every corner of the room, and the stench in the air was enough to send a shiver down even the most hardened spine. It seemed fairly apparent what this room was used for. At least, it was as apparent as it needed to be. But the scariest part was I remembered this place. Or I had a nagging sense that I'd been here before, anyway. Much like Shinozaki had said about that weird classroom just moments before.
わけわかんねえ。何がどうなってんだよ。とにかく早く逃げねえと。
逃げる？できないって分かってるくせに。
Hi! Hi! The voice belonged to a little girl who looked like she was right around 10 years old at most. She was wearing a red dress and staring at me through a mop of messy black hair with a smirk on her face and a condescending glint in her eyes. It's the bitch in the red dress. No, not Ada Wong. The other one.
幸子。幸子。
I muttered her name without thinking, surprising myself. How did I know who this was? Or, more to the point, who was Sachiko?
覚えててくれたんだ。前は殺してあげられなかったけど、今度はしっかり最後まで面倒見てあげる。こっち側の筋書きが固定されるように念入りにね。出しなよ、切れ端。
ざけんな！てめえみたいなガキに！
In the very next moment, everything around me seemed to go white.
ガキが何？
Okay, so it's the little bitch in a red dress. Sachiko was now staring at me with a cold, unmoved, and unwavering expression. I was in more pain than I'd ever felt in my entire life. I focused my gaze on the filthy giant at her side, who seemed to be doing her bidding. His enormous hammer was still resting on the mess that was previously my right ankle up until about a few seconds ago. I was all too aware that the extreme impact had pierced my flesh, shattered my bones, and even sprayed the room with shards of marrow. This was beyond pain. Every last nerve ending in my body was on alert. I could feel the underside of my skin. I wanted to puke, but knew it would do no good.
足の先から順番にゆっくり潰していってあげる。ほら続けろ。顔は最後ね。 兄ちゃんちょっとかっこいいから残念だけど、潰れて目玉が飛び出した面白い顔も見てみたい。
Kind of a shame since you're a cool-looking guy. How's that for a backhanded compliment? You're a cool-looking guy, but I'm still gonna kill you.
いやメロこの
Yeah, that ain't stopping. Hate to tell you this, that ain't stopping.
反抗的な目ね。次はどこを潰してあげようかしら。
叫んだよ。てめえなんかにビビるかよ。
Oh, really? I tried my best to stay strong and not give her the satisfaction of seeing me in pain or afraid. And yet look at her eye roll. I don't think she's buying it. But in truth, I was scared out of my mind. All I wanted to do was shrink back in fear and agony. It took every fiber of my being to resist.
あ、そう。じゃあ、これはどうかな。おいデクノボ、こいつにさっきのを見せてやりな。
The red-eyed giant laid down his hammer. I'm surprised he didn't just fucking fire it into her hip or something. But rather than feeling relief, I was instead even more worried by Sachiko's sadistically overjoyed expression.
これなんだ。
I was flabbergasted. I couldn't even speak. Yep, she's got Ayubi as well.
白崎やめろ白崎に触るんじゃねえクソどもクソが
I mean, to be fair, granted, I'd be losing blood like crazy at this point from however many injuries I've got in my lower half. I'm pretty sure I would come up with something a bit more forceful than you fucking assholes. But there we go. Heat of the moment, I guess.
いいよお兄ちゃん。悔しいね。憎いね。幸子たちを殺したいでしょう。幸子は優しいからお兄ちゃんはまだ殺さないであげる。でももし殺してやるが殺してくれになったら、その時は優しく殺してあげる。
As she said this, she drew her face in close, and I could feel her tiny cold lips sucking the tears from my cheek.
その憎悪が死んでからも変わらなければ、お前も私になれるかもしれないね。
So, yeah, moral of the story. Don't speak to ghost boys. Ever. At least not that one. So, yep, that was wrong end 2. So, let us continue. So, I'm going to reload that save that we made just before that ending, not the earlier one. Once it loads, that is. So this is the save just outside 4A. So again, I'm just going to go into 4A. And I'm not even going to bother with Rio this time. Instead, we're just going to pull the contraption. Which in turn opens the secret door all the way over at the Super's room. It'll just take a second to get there. Alright, and we're gonna go inside. Okay, time for another save. I'm done with that one, so I can overwrite this. Alright, so in the Super's room, it's time for the third bad ending. And this is the one that I accidentally... This is the one I accidentally got a little earlier. So, first things first. I'm going to pick up the box. We actually have to do this in the good ending anyway, so might as well take it. And that triggers this. And at that point, Ayumi starts going a little batshit crazy. At which point, Naho, or dead Naho at this point, starts rubbing it in. One earthquake later, and we're back with Yoshiki and Mayu. Kinda got a ways to go here. At this point, Mayu's wondering what the fuck is going on with her stomach. And we end up here with Nana. So, this is the one that we got during the stream. But for the purposes of keeping the video all together, I am going to play it. Actually, you know what? No, I'm not. Screw it. I will. So, wrong ending 3. Try to reach the bucket. Just to keep all the wrong ends together, I figured might as well.
そうだね。私、棚の上の石膏像を押さえてるから。
よし、俺がバケツ外すから、そっちは頼む。
気をつけてね。
くそ、そこには手届くんだが、取っ手に触れねえ。
無理に取ろうとしちゃダメだよ。
分かってる。考えたくねえけど、もし中身が硫酸とかだったらこぼしただけでアウトだからな。
机か椅子を動かして重ねたら。
Considering everything that happens to Nana later on, this wrong ending is almost merciful to her.
そうだな。それしかねえか。どうなってんだ。どれもこれも床に張り付いちまったみたいに動かねえ。
So, this brought to mind all the doors and windows that were so firmly frozen in place, they might as well have been cement walls. I didn't need convincing. I knew what Kishinuma said was true. Those desks and chairs weren't going anywhere. I had no other choice but to step in.
岸沼くん、机の上で私を肩車して。
けどよ、お前スカートで。
そんなこと言ってる場合じゃないでしょ。石膏像が落ちる前に
Yeah, she's in a skirt, but for fuck's sake, she's still wearing underwear. I think. I hope. Maybe.
おう。おっと、なんだよこの机は。あ、いや、床が傷んでんのか。とにかく慎重にな、鈴本。
I swallowed nervously, then reached my hands over my head, careful not to make any sudden movements. I could reach the bucket's handle just fine, fortunately. Now, all that remained was untying it and getting it down without spilling whatever happened to lie within.
うわっ。
Whatever it was, it definitely wasn't liquid. This was a solid, tangible weight. It felt almost as if the whole thing was filled to the brim with lead. I tried my hardest to maintain balance while adjusting to this unexpected new mass in my hands. But... it was no use. The bucket was slipping loose from my grip, and there was nothing I could do to stop it. Inevitably, my hands gave out, and the bucket was airborne. Someone had coated it in soapy water or oil, making it virtually impossible to hold on to. Whoever set this trap had apparently anticipated this very scenario, and planned for it accordingly. We were meant to find this girl. We were meant to try rescuing her. And we were meant to fail miserably. This was all one big joke to someone. The bucket flipped over in midair, raining its contents down onto the unknowing, unsuspecting victim below. Directly onto her face. Her cries only lasted for 1 or 2 seconds. They were followed by a few convulsions in her legs, and then stillness. Thousands of assorted nails, razors, scissors, and tacks all struck the poor girl's face, piercing her soft cheeks and eyes and filling her mouth. It took almost no time at all for what was left of her pale, perfect skin to be dyed crimson.
そんな。なんでだよ。バカ野郎。お前の。俺たちのせいじゃ。やだ。やだ。こんなつもりじゃ。ごめん。ごめんね。許して。許して。許して。
Yeah, now I won't be forgiving anyone anymore, I don't think. So, that was Bad End 3. That was the one that we got, that was the one that we actually got during the stream. So, time to reload a save again. And I'm going to reload the one, again, back in the supers room. Alrighty, just checking one thing. Okay, I need... So, again, I realize I saved this a touch early, but that's okay. So, we're going to take the small chest. We are going to get through this section again. And basically, we need to get back to the point We need to get back to the point where we find Nana tied up again, and choose the correct option this time. The correct option being, obviously, to remove the bandages. Just gonna take a little bit of time to get there. Okay, yeah, she is wearing underwear. Good to know. I guess. Alright. Remove the bandages. And again, this is all seen in the stream, so we're going to let this play. So, when we get control again, we want to go all the way east, as far as we can. And again, we're going to skip past... Yeah, so there's the flashing item there, for example. And then, we are going to go back to the locker room. And pick up the bandages. And at this point, I'm going to save again. I can overwrite... yes, I can overwrite this save. Because I need the other one in a minute. Yes, so I'm going to save here. Technically, I don't even need to save here, because once I'm done with this save, I actually need that one. Anyway, so, for the fourth bad ending, we're gonna go... this one's quite simple. Go back to the hole in the floor. And there's the discussion of who should go down. So before, we stepped up. But Yoshiki made a good point. We stepped up because there's no way we'd be able to... there's no way we'd be able to pull him back up. Or at least that was the thinking. But you know what? Girls can be strong too. I believe in you. So, just to confirm, we've sent Yoshiki down the hole.
Thank you. じゃ、ちょっと降りてくるわ。ロープつか包帯頼んだぜ。
了解。気をつけてね。何かあったら包帯を引いて合図してください。私たちですぐ引き上げますから。
お前らの力じゃ無理だって。そん時は必死で登るから。ロープだけは離さないでくれよ。
Good to know.
うっし。
And of course we end up in the body room.
進むぞ。地面についたぜ。
大丈夫？どう？何かありそう？
暗くてよくわかんねえけど、今から調べてみる。
Not that this is a pleasant prospect. Though it's too dark to see the area clearly, this entire space has an oppressive feel to it. Well, considering the amount of bodies in it, it's no surprise. And we do have to search around a bit. That's not a problem. The game still makes you search around a bit. But you get the same results as you did with if you had completed it yourself instead of sending Yoshiki. The end result's also the same. You want to check this body. Large number of dead bodies scattered throughout the room. Most seem to have died long ago.
何十年前から。
But as I say, this one is the one you want to check. You have to check it twice if you check something else first. If you don't check something else first, sorry. So it's a girl's body. This is one of the ones that seems like a more recent death. So recent, in fact, that there's still a hint of body heat coming off of her. All of her fingers have been cut off, and her tongue seems to have been removed as well. Her student ID name's clearly displayed on her jacket. Musashikawa Girls Middle School, Hikari Kirigami. Dana's classmate.
小笠原と同じ学校の制服か。そういや、更衣室で助けた時、光ってこの名前呼んでたっけな。ちくしょう。なんて言やいいんだよ。
And we pick up what turns out to be the holy water as we find out in the real ending.
なんだこりゃ。
We will never use this.
なんかか。
It's not
なんか
perfume.
水みてえのが入った瓶だった。
登ってこられる？
ああ、上から見るより高くねえみてえだしな。
Now the problem is getting back up.
おっとっと、意外と揺れて登りにくいな。おお。
Yep. After a split second of what seemed almost like weightlessness, came a hard slam on the ground. And following momentarily afterwards was the other end of the rope. Did the girls let go? Kinda. Fortunately, it happened while still fairly low to the ground, resulting in bruises, albeit painful ones, rather than broken bones. That's the least of your worries, buddy.
おい、鈴本、どうした？おい、小笠原。
No response. Okasawa's body was simply going into repeated convulsions, and half her face had been smashed in like a watermelon. Her skull was clearly split wide open.
なんだよ、小笠原が。どうなってんだよ、おい、鈴本。
Now, how's he gonna help from down there? Just saying.
鈴本。 おい、鈴本、どうした？なんなんだよ。 鈴本！やめろ！誰だ、くそ！ふざけんじゃねえぞ、てめえ！
Yoshi's certainly got away with words, doesn't he?
バカ野郎！鈴本、諦めんじゃねえ！絶対に俺が森重に合わせて！
No, you're not.
なんだこりゃ血。
Blood spilled from above as if someone were dumping a whole bucket full of it down the hole. And mixed in with his blood were various meat-like chunks of varying shapes and sizes. Chunks that were clearly pieces of a person's body.
うわ鈴本
Mayu's body, to be precise. So, 4 down, 2 to go. The Shangri-La episode for Wrong End's gonna be a fucking marathon at this rate. So, this time, 2 more endings to go for, and they are all the way back on the first save that I made. This one. So this is the ending. So this is the save that I made. Where are we? Just after with Mayu, playing as Mayu, just after I had encountered the Ryu's ghost, but before we picked up the notebook for that. Yes, the notebook, as I say, the notebook really is that important. So that's this save. And the final 2 endings are actually obtained from this save. So, we got the notebook from 1C. We are going to ignore it this time. We're going to 1A. Now, this room plays largely the same way. We do, however, need the rusty key. And we're going to play this next part as if we did earlier when on the good end path. Literally the only difference is we don't have the notebook. And again, we go all the way to the end of the hall. We examine the note on the wall. We examine the corpse here. And it will take us back to the exit. So, back to the exit. And again, examine the body in detail. No notebook jumping out this time. Because we never picked it up from upstairs. Alright, so, now that we're here again, we want to go back up to the second floor. And this largely plays the same way as it did previously. So we're just going to skip past all this again. Again, now we're playing as Satoshi. Or not Satoshi, Ishiki. We're again going to get the lockpick thingamajig. And we're going to go back to room 4A. And of course, just like before, we're going to use our lockpick on it. And just like before,
教室の形
Ryo
してね
can
え
go
ぞ
fuck himself. I'm going to pull the lever. And we're going to go back and get the secret entrance. So we don't have the notebook, but this is all playing out largely the same way as the true ending. So we're going to go in. Now, again, we want the chest. And examine the door. I'm going to let Ayumi run off. So eventually, just like before, it'll get to the point where we find Nana trapped in the locker room. So again, we're going to remove the bandages. Now this is where things change. So I don't need to save yet. But what I'm going to do is I actually now, instead of going to the hole over here, I instead want to climb the stairs to the second floor. And I just need to make my way as far north as I can. The loose board that was here is no longer spanning the hole in the floor. It's unclear what happened to it. Maybe it fell in, or maybe someone took it. Either way, it's no longer possible to continue down the hall from here.
この距離ならジャンプして向こうに行けるんじゃねえか
男子ならともかく私たちには無理だよ。何か捕まるものでもなきゃ。
長い棒かロープでもあれば先に俺が渡って支えてやるん
And
だけど
this is where the bandage rope gets used this time. So, now that we know what we're doing with the bandages this time, we need to go back and actually go and pick them up. So again,
これロープの代わりに
we're just going to take them. Now, this is where the final two bad endings differ. So, I'm actually going to overwrite this save now. And we're going to continue on with bad end 5. We are locked into a bad ending at this point. It's just a question of which one. So, we are going to go back at this point to the second floor. And instead of trying to lure somebody down to get the holy water, we're instead going to use the bandages to cross the gap here. It's actually here. take a second to get there.
まずはロープをどっかに結びつけて固定しねえとな。
そこの教室の机とかどう？
大丈夫かよ。机なんかロープ引っ張ったら動いちまうぞ。
そっか。教卓はちょっとロープの長さが足りないかもしれないし。ロープを結びつけた机を入り口近くに移動させて、それでロープが出る隙間だけ残してドアを閉めれば、机はドアに引っかかって動かないと思います。なるほど。ドアを片側に寄せて二重にしとけば、まず外れることなんてないし、いけるかも。
よし。じゃあまず俺がロープ持って向こう側にジャンプするからな。
気をつけてね。
この距離なら楽勝楽勝。よっと。
Alley-oop!
おっと、はっ、ビビった。
大丈夫？岸沼くん。
ああ、その辺微妙に床板が脆いみてえだから気をつけろよ。よし、鈴本、ロープを伝って順番にこっち来いよ。危ないから一人ずつな。
ナナちゃん、私が先に渡るから後から来れる？はい、できると思います。
どうした？
学生証落としちゃった。篠崎さんにもらった幸子さん人形の切れ端挟んであったのに。
Oh, forget the fucking charm.
そんなもん後で下の階に拾いに行きゃいいだろう。それより危ねえからよそ見してねえで早く渡れよ。
ナナちゃん、いいよ。来て。
Well,
ロープしっかり掴んで気をつけてね。
how the heck do they keep losing them, by the way? Aren't they meant to be safety pinned to them?
わかりました。
Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention. Yoshikazu's here.
なんだあいつ。なんかやべえぞ。
ナナちゃん、急いでこっちに。
Yeah, Nana's not making it. For about as much time as it took a single shiver to run up and down a person's spine, the hallway was completely silent. Then, the moment Nana's foot left the floor on the other end of the hall, there was an abrupt, almost exaggerated spray of blood. The back of the strange, bloody-eyed man's massive hammer had come down hard, roughly splitting through not only the rope, but both of Nana's legs as well. 'More than anything, I wanted to look away. Did my darkening just go up? I think it did. Wow. More than anything, I wanted to look away. I wanted to look away from those desperate tear-filled eyes, that shocked, pained expression. Not to mention the sight of Nana's dangling torso, with nothing at all left below the thighs.
ロープ離すんじゃねえぞ。すぐに引き上げてやっから。鈴本、さっさと手貸せ。
足がナナちゃんの。
バカ野郎、まだ生きてんだろうが。
助けても助けてあげても。
余計なこと考えんな。ちくしょう、なんだよ足くれ。俺が背負ってやら。
Yeah, for once, I'm with Yoshiki on this one, because it's like, you're just gonna get it, like, Mayu just, for all intents and purposes, give it up, but Yoshiki is actually the one speaking some fucking sense for a change.
どけ。このロープで太もも縛って。くそ、ひでえ。
Ah, but Yoshikazu's not done.
ここ離れると鈴本。クソ変質野郎。その図体で止めるもんなら飛んでみやがれ。
See, here's the problem. Well, I'll tell you what the problem is in a minute.
息はしてる。でも気絶してるみたいだな。
その方がいいよ。意識があったらどんなに痛いか。
けど意識がねえってことは体力的にやべえってことだろ。なんとかしなきゃな。
なんとかって、私たちお医者さんじゃないんだよ。こんなひどい怪我どうしたらいいのか。
I mean, that's a fair comment, but it's better than doing nothing.
消毒液と包帯くらいあんだろ。保健室か理科室か職員室かどっかによ。とにかく俺らでできることしてやんなきゃ。
そうだね。
とりあえずちゃんと休めるとこに移動しようぜ。
Now, here's the problem. Yoshikazu knows all the shortcuts of this place. So he doesn't need to jump a gap.
あいつさっきの
He can just come from the
どうやってこ
girls'
っちに
room.
来たんだよ。
とにかく逃げなきゃ。
Yes, and now a time section. 90 seconds. So, I want to check something here because I don't know. 120, 18, 17, 16, 15. Oh god, the timer actually continues on that menu. I didn't know that. Nice to know for future. Yeah, so you can either let the timer run out or just go back to him and let Yoshikazu catch you. The bloody-eyed man raised his right leg and then quickly brought it down onto Nana's stomach, pinning her to the ground and forcing blood from her wounds. A few stomps later, what looked to be gastric juices began spewing from Nana's mouth, and her momentary consciousness was cut short as she passed out again. This didn't stop the man from continuing his stomping fit, however. He was putting his whole body weight into every blow. I could hear the sound of bones breaking. Nana's chances of survival were lessening with every passing moment. And they weren't good to begin with. What could I do? I wanted to save her, somehow, but I couldn't even move.
その足をどけやがれ、クソが。
Learn some new words! Kishinuma's attempt to save Nana was short-lived. The bloody-eyed man swatted him back like a fly, and he immediately fell through a hole in the floor.
お待たせ。今度はあなたの番よ。お姉ちゃん、遊ぼう。思い出した。私ここで死ぬんだ。
correct. So, Bad Ending 5 is effectively history repeating itself. But what about Bad Ending 6? Now, Ending 6 is actually special because there's a name tag that you can only get in this ending. Now, I've already done this once before off screen, so I can't show off the name tag per se, but there's still a name tag that you can only get in Bad End 6. So, if I reload the latest save, yeah, that one. Instead, we're gonna redo that. Where am I going? Second floor. We're gonna redo that scene, but this time, instead of letting Yoshikazu catch us, we have got a couple of places we need to go. Now, the time is quite tight here, so I may not be able to go through everything like at casual speed. So if there is anything that you want to see in this ending that is in the time section, but I'm going through it a little too quickly for you to catch just now, pause the video. That's all I can suggest. Or play it at reduced speed. That's all I can suggest. Because as I say, there's a lot I need to do here. So, I'm just going to skip past all of this. So, Nana loses her legs, Yoshikazu takes the shortcut. We are out of here. First things first, we want to go to the hall outside the nurse's station. Except, something struck the glass window from inside the room. It was a dull red palm print, and it began slowly sliding down the window, leaving an oozing trail of blood in its wake. Chihiya's inside, yep. Yep, so you have to look out for yourself. So I realise I went quickly there. I have to. Next, go to the lab. And the lab door is locked. Examine it. But we still have the rusty key from earlier. Now, once we're in here, the timer ends. Now we can breathe. Kinda. So the door's locked. Not that that's going to do much for a guy with a wacky big sledgehammer, but yeah.
でもあのデカブツ、斧みてえの持ってやがったからな。ドアが破られる前に、こっちもなんか武器でも探さねえと。その前に、ナナちゃんの手当てを。何？この匂い。
Yes, and if we have a look around in here, well, there's actually only one thing we can look at. And it's the body here. It's a dead body bound to a chair with wire by both its wrists and ankles. Based on height and uniform, this was most likely a junior high school girl. She seems to have had hot oil poured over her head, burning everything above her chest into a blackened, unidentifiable mess. The only discernible facial feature is a missing tongue, and that's only because its stump is still faintly visible through her broken front teeth. The wire around her wrists and ankles seems to have really dug into the skin too, suggesting she put up a hell of a fight before taking her final breath.
この制服、ナナちゃんと同じ。
学生証に写真があるな。武蔵川女子中学校1年6組天戸谷なり。
Yep.
なりちゃん。
And, of course, Nana chooses that moment to wake up.
あ、意識戻ってたのか。
ナナちゃん、見ちゃダメ。これナリちゃん。嘘だよ。こんなの。ナリちゃん、絶対みんなで脱出するって約束したのに。
Yeah, I don't think she's keeping that promise. What do you say? You gonna keep up your promise and get the hell out of here? Just give us a sign. Any sign. Even just a word. Or a grunt. I know you've not got a tongue.
こんなのって違う。絶対ナリちゃんなんかじゃ。しっかりしてナナちゃん。まだ他にも会いたい人が、友達や先輩がいるんでしょ。もういないかもしれないよ。これなんだ。
It was a little girl with matted oily black hair spilling down her shoulders and over her chest, and she was holding something under her arm. As she drew out the vowel in her sadistically playful question, she triumphantly flourished this object, revealing it to be a human head. It was a girl's head, with a perfectly uniform bob framing her face. She looked like the quiet type. Well, she's dead now, of course she's going to be quiet. Her mouth was hanging half open, trails of blood stained onto her chin, and once again, the tongue was nowhere to be found.
これちはやちゃんって言うんだ。ん？ちはやちゃんは何度も呼んでたよ。ナーナちゃん、ナーナちゃん、私死んじゃった。どうして助けに来てくれなかったの？
The girl in the red dress thrust her hand up into Chikaya's neck and was moving her mouth up and down while saying this, like a ventriloquist with a dummy. That's a hell of an image. You know, if I was properly twisted, if I was Sachiko at this point, and I heard the word, like, I'm holding her friend's head, Nana's friend's head, and she's like, give me back my friends. My instant response to this, if I was Sachiko, would be like, you want her back? Here! And I would just throw the head at her. With those words, Nana lapsed back into unconsciousness in Kishinuma's back, never again to awaken. As for me and Kishinuma, we knew the chase was over. There was nothing left to say. We just stood there, petrified at the thought of what was yet to come. Things can only get better. Oh, except they could really get worse. But yes, with that, that is the final bad ending of episode 2, Demise. So, thank you very much for watching. I realize this has gone on for quite a long time already. But next time we will next time there's the stream for Chapter 3, Encounter, and then afterwards it will, of course, be another video for Rogue Ends immediately after the stream. So, again, thank you all very much for watching, and take care of yourselves.